Welcome to Purpose Driven Sobriety. Thank you for joining the Purpose Driven Sobriety podcast. My name is Christine. I'm an alcoholic. I want to thank a friend of the show, Mr. Notch Wilson. He was a guest on our show. I want to say it was number, 6 or 7. I'm probably wrong on that. But Notch is in recovery himself and chose to sponsor a show or two. And so I'm very grateful to Notch. Thank you so much. So on the show, we just basically share our experience, strength, and hope with the person who is still out there suffering. So I am very, very grateful to have Mr. Craig on our show today. And I met Craig through, and I know that y'all hear me say this pretty much every show, but it's been a great resource for finding guests is the recovery pages that are online, namely Facebook. That's just if you're new to recovery or you're a veteran in recovery, you can really find some community in some of these pages. Just like with person to person, need any meetings, you want to go in, test drive them, and see if you're a good fit, if they're a good fit for you. Don't get discouraged if you're not. Move on to the next one. There's a lot of ones to choose from. So I met Mr. Craig in one of those pages, and he graciously agreed to come on and share his experience, strength, and hope with us. So, Mr. Craig, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me, Christine. And, I want to thank you for your service because without people like you and without purpose-driven sobriety, there'd be a lot more people out there that are really hurting.
I agree. I agree. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will say that Craig is sporting. I wear pretty much every single day. I wear a recovery type T-shirt, and so for those of you that aren't watching the video on YouTube, Craig is wearing a sober AF shirt, which definitely means alcohol free. The AF, get your mind out of the gutter. It's sober, alcohol free, is what we're gonna just say that it means. But anyway, so I love how you recover out loud. I'm the same exact way. So tell me all the things. Tell me, who is Craig? What was it like? What happened? And what do you like now?
I'll tell you first of all, by God's grace in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I have been sober 13 years, 11 months, and 28 days.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Right? So in 3 short days, I have a good chance of reaching another milestone, 14 years.
Wow.
And I do it one day at a time.
Amen.
It strictly is a one day at a time program. And for the people that are listening that might be new in recovery, might be struggling with recovery, I have been exactly where you are sitting today. There is no difference. I don't want to take over the show, but
no,
I
please,
go right into my experience, strength, and hope.
Absolutely.
What it was like, what happened, and what's it like now. Oh my God! I can remember. I never drank and partied like normal people ever. People used to say, "Oh, don't worry, that's Craig. He's got an addictive personality." I took everything 1, 2, 3 steps further.
Mm-hmm.
At the parties when in high school and in my 20s and 30s, when the party was over, people left and there I was still drinking. Right? People stop drinking on Sunday, so they go back to work on Monday, or stop drinking after one drink.
That's
was
weird.
That never happened to me. I never had that luxury. I found out very early on that I thought drinking let me be the person I really wanted to be.
Mm,
If you know what I mean,
I do.
when I drank, it was like the curtain would rise and Craig would go on stage and everybody loved me. I was the life of the party. And, you know, that's what alcohol does to us, right? It takes over our minds and makes us think different things.
So, how
So
old were you when you when you had that first curtain rise?
oh my God, I thought I was getting an award, Christine. When the first day that curtain rose and I was the life of the party, it was like I walked on stage to get the Academy Award, I guess.
How old were you?
Oh, when that first started, oh
Yeah.
my God, I would probably want to say I was a late bloomer, probably about 17,
Okay.
16, 17. Um, and
Now, where were you raised?
San Diego, California.
Okay. Okay. You're
And
Because we're talking. You're in California right now.
absolutely. I'm
Okay.
in California right now, born
Gotcha.
and raised native.
Now, were you an
Um,
only child?
no, I was the middle child, so I've got an older sister and a younger brother,
Okay. Okay.
and you know, I don't want to talk about their recovery or
That's okay.
not.
Yeah. So you were
Yeah,
17. So yeah,
yeah.
tell me about that.
We used to go to house parties, and uh, everybody would have, a few beers and whatnot, and Craig would always seem to have a bottle with him besides the free beer,
Mm,
and uh, I just couldn't, I just couldn't drink normally. I drank to get drunk
right.
from the get go.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Right? Exactly. I mean, why drink unless I'm going to get messed up?
Yeah. I mean.
Right? And I mean, messed up as fast as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember probably when I was 18 is when I started to drink and black out. Um, Having those blackout episodes
Right.
was really scary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I a number of times didn't know where I'd been, what I had done, what I had said. Um, I used to have friends tell me, "Oh God, Craig, you were the life of the party," and I would be, wow, had no idea,
Mm-hmm.
had no idea. Um, part of my story is drugs, and a lot of people in AA recovery, they just want strictly AA
Yeah.
talk. I
That's
got to tell
ridiculous.
you, my story is my story, and my story will be with me until I'm no more. So
Mm-hmm.
drugs were a part of my story,
Well, I
and
think you come, especially once you get into recovery, you come to realize mind altering is mind altering is mind altering, no matter how
without
you
a doubt,
decorate it.
with,
You
with
can, the ism is the ism, and the results are typically the same, a life that is burned to the ground. So, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. The ism. Some people might not know. I seek more,
Mm hmm.
right? More and more and more.
Mm hmm.
It was never enough. Um, I got married. I We had a son, passed away very very um, very early on. Um, I don't remember the funeral. Why? I don't. I got a potty mouth, Christine.
That's a, you just
I
do
was,
you, sweetheart. This is an open forum. I want you to be Craig.
you know, um, I was so drunk. Um, I don't remember. Um, don't remember the funeral.
Mm,
You know, I was never present during my drinking career, and I call it a career because that's the way it was. Um, I was fortunate. I never people talk about their yets
mm-hmm.
list, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate. I didn't get a DUI. I never drove the wrong way on the freeway. I never killed anybody driving the wrong way on the freeway. I was not, I was, I hate that term functioning alcoholic because, right, come on, I
Right.
wasn't functioning.
Right.
Um,
But you hadn't completely lost every single thing, liberties and everything at that
no,
point. Yeah.
no,
Mhm.
not at all.
And
Uh,
and the fact of the matter is a lot of us did, and it didn't make a shit. I mean,
right,
it didn't
right,
make a damn bit of difference.
right,
I got a
exactly,
DUI, and I had to spend one night in jail. And the minute
right.
my husband got me home, I was off to the liquor store.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. So
Mm-mm.
it's what that bottom is or was for every
Right.
single person, right? That bottom is our bottom. Um, I there was a number of deaths in the family that I don't remember the funerals. I don't remember these things. I was never present. Um, you know, uh, I have to tell you that I did I did do some crazy things, but that's my story, my war story. Um, that wife and I ended up separating after we lost our child.
Mm.
Um, I absolutely hated and did not have any relationship with my favorite, with my God, who I truly have a great relationship with now.
So were you raised knowing a God? And were you what tell me
Yeah.
just a little bit about that
Oh, sure.
that
I
raising. Like for me,
Sure.
I was not raised anywhere near a church. I was not, I was sprinkled as a little baby because that's what you did, but aside from
Oh,
that, I had no concept of God whatsoever. I thought that that was for the people that dressed up on Sunday and went to the building with the T on
oh,
top of it.
sure,
You know.
sure. I grew up in a Judaic household, and we did what was required of us. Um, God was never talked about,
Mm,
was never a part of our, not not that it wasn't a part of our life, but not in a big way, not in a way where people pray to God and have relationships with God, and now it's so much different because you can have a relationship with
right.
God. And so my faith, even though I had my faith and I believed in my faith and my religion and everything like that, separate from that, I had no relationship with God.
Got it.
And when my baby had passed away, um, that was God's fault,
Mm,
right? Everything was God's fault.
mhm.
Um, you know, uh, it was a very sad time in my life, and the only way for me to get through life on life's terms at that time was drink
Mhm.
and drink more and drink more. Um, met my this is this is going to be crazy to
Come
you.
on, let's go.
Maybe not crazy. Come on,
It's
right,
probably not, honey.
right. So
Bring
I,
it.
I I met my second wife, and we we were drinking partners. We life was great for a while. Life was really good. We raised two beautiful daughters. They were not my biological, but they were little. So they were, I was dad. I still am dad to them.
Oh, that's
Um,
amazing.
they're in their middle and late 30s now. And had a good life, not life was not always bad around alcohol. It didn't get bad until it was bad.
Mm,
Um, Probably around, I don't know, 1990 ish. Um, I had a construction industry injury, and I was laid up for about 18 months.
Oh, wow.
And and for that 18 months, um, back then, the doctors would have open prescriptions for painkillers, and every single, all I had to do was call the pharmacy. They knew me by name. They would
Yep.
say, "Come on by, your prescription's ready." So between taking prescription meds and drinking, um, it got bad, and um, I recovered from that. I recovered from my injury. Um, Quit taking pain medication, but of course I wouldn't stop drinking. You know that never entered into my mind.
I'm surprised the pain medication didn't get you.
Yeah, the pain medication, it just exhilarated the. So I thought the drinking, right, just made me feel better quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was taking pills to wake up. I was taking pills to stop the pain. I was taking pills to go to bed. And in between, I was drinking like a fish,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, we raised my ex-wife and I, we raised two fantastic kids. Um, Through this time, my drinking got very heavy, very heavy. I drank every day, every day. Um, I got into the insurance business that I'm in right now. And in the insurance business, drinking is run rampant. There's a lot of people in my industry that drink. Um, you know, I don't know who's an alcoholic, who's not. That's not my concern. That's not my business. But it's a business that a lot of people socially gather and drink a lot. Um, my girls um, grew up. We took them on trips. We had great times. There was a lot of traveling, and every time we did anything, it revolved around drinking. Everything we did revolved around drinking. Um, at the time, I didn't think I was an alcoholic drinker. I just thought I was a social drinker. Because everybody that was around me and my ex-wife, that's everybody drank.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody drank.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, when the party was over and everybody would leave, I still drank. The party was never over for me.
Right.
The party only got worse. Um, what happened? Uh, Early 2003, I found myself in a predicament um, at my work, and in order to cope with the stress, I started drinking daily. And it wasn't beer, and it wasn't just vodka, and it wasn't just wine. Um, I started drinking constantly to deal with the stress. Anything to not live life on life's terms.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would start coming down from a buzz, I drank more to increase the buzz, so I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't have to let my mind think about what was going on with the stress. Um, it it got to the point probably around 2004, the latter part of 2004, the chemical addiction took over. And when I say the chemical addiction, um, I was I was drinking. I think about it and I get kind of emotional about this because I can't believe it sometimes when I talk about it, Christine.
Mm-hmm.
I was drinking a half half a bottle or half a gallon of Kettle One and a bottle of wine a day. Um, do you know how many shots are in a half a gallon? Right. 39 shots. 39 shots are in a half a gallon of booze. And I drank that every single day. Every single day. Um, and I did that probably, like I say, probably 2004, 2005, 2006. This issue had lasted 3.5 years of my life, got consumed by this issue um, through my work. Um, and I remember, I remember that there was a point where my my body started my body started going through this change, um, and I really believe what it was is that my body was trying to acclimate to all of the alcohol that I was ingesting. Um, I I was sweating constantly. My hands were shaking and trembling. I couldn't use a fork without my hands shaking. And I remember going to the doctor, and he told me, he says, well, Craig, it appears that you have a urine infection. Oh my God, bladder infection. I came home, I was the happiest guy in the world, told my ex-wife, I said, I'm good to
That's
go.
why I don't feel good.
I said, I'm good to go.
Golly.
I just had a bladder infection. Oh
Ah.
my God. Right. Try to fool everybody, but you really never fooled anybody. Right.
I
And
certainly felt well. I'm gonna beg to differ with you for a second there because we sure fooled ourselves. We
yeah.
should, and I and
Oh,
I and I kind of snickered, just because it's so. I'm just, and I hate interrupting you, but there's as much as we are different, we are the exact same person, Craig. I'm going to tell you that right now. We are twins. You start talking about going to the doctor. I remember having to have Rick have to sign my name in because I was shaking so much I couldn't write my name, but there was a medical problem wrong with me that we were seeking. Couldn't have never have been the alcohol. Such bullshit that we make ourselves believe.
right.
It's
Right.
crazy.
Uh, the same exact thing. My ex-wife and I had to go sign some papers, and that was when I realized that I'd lost that motor skill of signing my name, right? And my hand was shaking so bad, I couldn't stop my hand from shaking. But I said, don't worry, that's that bladder infection. Don't worry. And, you
But we
know,
knew we knew the remedy, right? What was the remedy to get the shakes to stop?
what was the remedy
Uh huh.
to
Uh huh.
stop the
It.
shaking?
Uh huh. For me it was just one drink, just one drink, and I was normal. I was everything was just fine. It was
Right,
that's all it took to make
right,
me normal again.
right. No shit. Exactly what you just said to a T. I mean, we are cut from the same cloth,
It's
you and
nuts.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same story. The same absolute everything.
Mm.
It 2004, and that there was. I would go to work. Um, this is part of my story that I'm there is no humor about this. Um, I was at, in the book we talk about that jumping off place, right?
Absolutely.
The place that you can't live with drinking, and you want to die. You want to live. You want to die. You can't live. You can't die. Right? You can't live with the alcohol. You can't live without it. I consider that like that vortex of the toilet going around like
Mm-hmm.
this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
was an area I had um, I had made a decision that I didn't want to live anymore, and on the way to my office, it was kind of a hilly area, and that there were um, guardrails in some areas, and there was a spot where there was no guardrails,
Mm.
and I told myself, "That's the spot. That's it. I can do this." And I won't have to go through this anymore. I won't have to go through the pain. I won't have to go through um, this this mind blowing thing that was going on in my brain that I could not shut off. And I was so ready to do this. I even looked at my life insurance policy regarding suicide.
Right.
Right. So I wanted to make sure that it didn't look like suicide.
Mm.
Um, every day that I drove to the office, I got to that place, and all I had to do was just turn the wheel slightly, and I not obviously, but I never did that. I never got to the point where I would actually turn the wheel. Um, May, it was Memorial Day weekend. I just got out of the problem or the issue that was 3, 4, 5 years going at work. Everything was in my favor. Everything was fantastic. Life was grand, and the only thing left was Craig was a full blown drunk.
Did you
Craig
know it
was
at that time? Did you?
no,
Okay. 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 I'm with you.
no,
I'm
I
with you.
had no clue.
I'm with you.
It snuck up on me
The
so bad,
insanity.
Christine,
Mm-hmm.
that I had no clue. Um, I, I got to the point where I blacked out every single night, and my ex-wife would say that I would wake up and take like 3 or 4 steps and fall face first on the carpet almost every night. Um, that was not enough to make me even slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One morning, I woke up and I went into the restroom, to the bathroom, get ready to go take a shower, and I looked in the mirror, and my entire face was covered in blood because when I fell, I clipped my forehead on the
Mm.
corner of the wall. That wasn't enough. That wasn't enough to make me stop.
That was an accident. Mm-hmm.
That was an oops. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be careful. I'll be more careful. I'll be careful. Um, one morning at 5 a.m., I woke up soaking wet next to my swimming pool at my house. Um, the sliding door was wide open. I must have walked and fell into the swimming pool, uh, pulled myself out, and woke up a couple of hours later, laying next to the swimming pool,
Mm.
soaking wet. Um, that wasn't enough. Come on,
Mm-mm.
that still was not enough. Um, nothing, nothing was enough until Memorial Day weekend, 2009. We had this big blowout Memorial Day party at our house, and there was a band, and we used to throw some really big parties and lots of people, and I don't know, it must have been the jig was getting up, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it at the time, but a lot of my friends, my ex-wife, they had been talking about my drinking. And about a week before this Memorial Day party, apparently my ex-wife had cleaned out the liquor cabinet and moved all the bottles so I wouldn't find them. I didn't know this at the time. Um, and so while the party was going on and everybody was out having a good time, um, that the chemical addiction part of me at that time, I had to drink every hour. I had to ingest alcohol every hour. Um, I was in the kitchen like an animal on the ground, looking in cabinets, looking for the alcohol. And lo and behold, way in the back, I found a bottle of brandy, Christian Brothers brandy,
Mm.
way in the back. I grabbed it and I opened the top and I started to drink. And as I started to drink, I could see my reflection in the window. And I was going,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell is going on? Um, at that point, in my life, I couldn't write. I couldn't use the computer. I couldn't type on the computer. Um, I couldn't read out loud. I could not read words and read them out loud. I was right at the point of probably having wet brain. Um, I I really, really believe that.
Tell people who are unfamiliar with that term, Craig. Tell people what wet brain is.
Oh my gosh, wet brain
I've
is
met one person. I've met one person. He never made it back, or he never
it,
made it out of it.
right? Exactly. A sponsee of mine had wet brain. He ended up not making it back on his last relapse. Wet brain is the effects of alcohol that no matter what happens, your brain and your body cannot come back to, I want to say reality, any kind of normalcy. It's even even if you were to get sober, all of the brain, everything is short circuited. That's the best way maybe I could
Yeah, I
kind of.
mean it's essentially just permanent. It's permanent damage that you've done to your brain.
Exactly. Irreversible.
Yeah, right, right. No matter what the recovery is. So
Right,
yeah, that's the ooh, man,
right.
and it's scary to see someone
Oh,
in full blown.
scary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. When you talk to a person that has wet brain, and you still think that they are drunk and they're not. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was them sober, and it was like, oh my God. So at this party, um, all of a sudden, um, everybody from the party was gone. The band was gone. And this is in the middle of the afternoon.
Mm.
And I found myself sitting on the couch with about eight of our friends, and they were doing an intervention on me.
Wow.
And I had no idea that everybody was trying to get everybody to leave the party because Craig was so messed up. And they proceeded to, you know, I remember one of my close friends, she was sitting next to me, she kept rubbing my back, telling me it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking about? There's nothing wrong with me. And they said, we really think you need to go into rehab. And I said, rehab? I said, I can do this on my own. And they said, no, we really think you need to go in and get some help. And I said, no way. I said, I'll show you guys. Um, Everybody left. This is Memorial Day weekend. I think that was on a Monday, Memorial Day. Everybody left. I found myself in the garage drinking hot beers that were from the party. They were hot. They were just in the garage. And I said, wow, literally, I remember this drinking the hot beers. Um, That very next morning, I drove to the office, and it had been 4 or 5 hours since I had had any alcohol in me. I was going into full blown DTs, the tremors, the shakes,
Mm.
uncontrollably the shakes. Um,
It's awful.
and
It's awful.
I hopped into my car and I drove about halfway home. And I remembered I had these little tiny bottles of, the little throwaway bottles of booze,
Mm-hmm.
and they were empty. But there I was on the side of the road trying to suck out every ounce of whatever I could out of these little tiny bottles. And I got home and I couldn't punch the code into my front door. My hands were trembling and shaking so bad I couldn't hit the code to unlock the door. My ex-wife opened the door. Uh, she saw what was going on with me. She called the doctor, and the doctor said that that they believe they need to send an ambulance for me. That I'm going through some terrible detoxing, and that that I should be um, need some medical supervision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I refused the medical supervision. And for anybody that is listening
Mm.
that remotely understands this, that was probably the most stupid thing I could have ever done.
Very
Uh,
dangerous.
I made it upstairs. Um, I was semi-conscious for 3 days, in and out of detoxing. Um, I came to after 3 days. And apparently from dragging myself to the bathroom, I had rug burns on my elbows and my knees. And I came out of that pretty good. I came out of that detox pretty good. I quit drinking for 45 days, and I told myself, I'm not an alcoholic. I got this thing beat. Look
Mm-hmm.
at that. I just quit for 45 days. I can have a drink. I don't need I don't need AA, because one of my friends said maybe you need to go to AA, and it's like, I got this thing whipped. What are you talking about? So about 45 days later, I had my first drink, led to the second, led to the third, led to 2.5 weeks. I was full blown blacking out again. And I remember standing in the kitchen, and I told my ex-wife, and this is one of the biggest parts of my recovery now, is I said, there is something wrong with me. And I looked up and I said, God, I said, please help me. I said, I can't do this. There is something wrong. Help me. Right? That was the ultimate surrender.
Mm.
God knew at that point I was not bullshitting. God knew that that was not the, oh, get me out of this little
Right.
situation, God. Oh, he knew that I was serious about this. Um, and 2 days later, um, back up, right when I asked God to come into my life, right then and there when I surrendered, uh, that was when the obsession of alcohol was removed from me.
Mm.
Never had another fleeting thought about obsession over alcohol. And remember now, I had just come off of a relapse that I had drank for another 2 weeks solid and still blacking out. Um, I had not had any alcohol, and the trembles, the shakes were gone. Everything was gone. I had it was it was um, it was God coming into my life,
Mm.
saved my ass again. This time though, he knew I was serious.
No, this time you
Um,
asked him to.
right, right. I mean, come on,
This
come
time
on.
you asked him to. It says in that big book, and it's one of those things that we're not naive, Craig. We know that there are several paths to recovery, But the fact of the matter is, at least for my life, and you've testified here that in your life too, that it took a power greater than ourselves. But the main key, the key that unlocked the prison door that we had locked ourselves,
Right,
was simply surrendering that key over to a power greater than ourselves that would let easily and willingly and quickly, just like you
right,
said, usually without consequence. Because I had the same exact experience. I would go into full on seizures when I'd try to stop, but the minute I surrendered, for some reason I was waiting. I was almost waiting like an abused, person from alcohol. I was waiting for that punch, waiting for that withdrawal symptom, and they didn't
right,
come.
right,
Recovery just started.
right.
It was nuts.
Absolutely. 2 days later, um, I went to my first AA meeting. Um, that puts me right at about July 28th, 2009. And I went to my first AA meeting, um, and I came home after that meeting, and I didn't think it was real, right? Yeah, I thought this was a bunch of crap. I thought it was a setup.
It's too it's
I
too simple. It's
Right,
too yeah
right.
yeah.
So what I did was I went home and had a couple of beers. I hid that from everybody. Um, that's why my sobriety date is July 31st.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my first day driving back to the office, um, I had a panic attack and my body started trembling real bad. Because it was my first day going back to work and driving on that road right where everything flashing back, flashing back, flashing back. And all of a sudden I had this panic attack. My body started shaking. And I was on the road right where the guardrail, where the break in the guardrail was.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, as I sit here and tell you this is gospel truth, Christine, all of a sudden, everything got bright white inside my car. I mean, I couldn't see in front of me. Everything was so bright that I didn't know what was happening. The next thing I knew, I had passed that break in the guardrail, and the color came back, and I could actually see again. See on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up, and I looked up at the time, and I said, I will be a follower of yours till the day I am no more. I said, I will never doubt you. I said, yeah, and I, um, to this day, truly believe that a power greater than myself actually came to me, and helped me
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Love Alcoholics Anonymous, got into AA, still didn't believe you people. You guys were all lying to me. Everybody hugging and laughing and having a good time
They
and
could
talking
they
about.
could not have been near
No,
as
no,
much of an alcoholic as I was.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
you
You
didn't have
guys
it
had
near as
no
bad.
clue what I was going through,
It's
right?
such
I mean,
bullshit. It's
don't you understand?
we're still telling ourselves bullshit when a higher power has saved us.
Right, right. Don't you understand what kind
Uh,
of problem I have? How can you all just be so happy and
what's so
joyous and
funny?
free
That's right.
and loving and all this other stuff? And I remember this old timer, my very first meeting. He is still my mentor. He was never my sponsor, but my mentor. He's I don't know. I think upwards in the 40-year range of
Mm.
sobriety. And I remember after that first meeting, he walked me up to the front, got me a big book and one of those yellow pocket meeting books,
Mm-hmm.
and he turned to the page where there was no writing, and he opened the book and he goes, "You see this page right here where there is no writing?" He said, This is your beginning. This is where you get to start. You get to wipe away everything from your past. You don't ever have to feel like this again. and we start fresh
Mm.
right here. And of course, I thought he was full of crap, right? I mean, how can this help me? I've tried to quit myself. How
Right.
can this help me? How can God
No
help?
medical treatment has been able to
No,
help me. Yeah. And you
no,
think
no,
some book and
right,
yeah,
right.
I get
I
it.
mean, come on.
I get it.
How the hell is this going to get me to stop drinking or make me feel better? Right? And
Yeah.
there was no there, and it's still. I have to tell you, I got to be 100% straight up with you, Christine. I didn't think there was any hope for me.
Mhm.
I didn't. I thought I was not going to make it. I thought I was still going to die. That was July, August, the very beginning of September. Um, I remember being at my meeting. It was a Saturday morning, and this guy got a 13-year token. And I heard his story, and my brain started firing again. And it told me, if this guy can do it, oh my God, Craig, you got a shot at this.
Mhm.
Right then, that was the epiphany. That's the light switch went on. I got a sponsor, right? I got a sponsor. I started working the 12 steps in a row from a sponsor who had a sponsor who has sponsees,
Mhm.
right out of the book. No wavering. Well, little wavering. I mean, come on, it was my first time ever doing this.
Sure. Sure.
How honest do you really
Right.
want me to be? Come on, my
That's
life
right.
was fucking terrible, and you want me to tell you everything about
Right.
my life?
Right. I don't want you to hate me or kick me out of the club.
Right, exactly, right. I mean, I would say things at meetings, and people's eyebrows would go up, and it would be like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I hope they still let me back here.
Mhm.
Um, that was my journey.
But
I
hearing that guy's story, that just goes to show the I'm going to use the word magic just because of
right,
I know a lot of people get hung up on the word God, but that's the beauty of the program is that that is the real Me Too movement.
right,
When you sit here and talk about going to the doctor's office and you couldn't write your name, I mean like a friggin' Twilight Zone moment, I can go back to that waiting room right there, standing at that window and looking at Rick going, please write my name for me because I can't do it.
exactly,
But when we have that soul to soul tie, that soul to soul similarity, there is a connection there like no other connection to someone out here on the street because
right,
I get you, man. Me too. You've been at that gate of hell? Me too. I stood there too.
right,
I mean, it's just so powerful. I don't understand people that don't go to meetings or aren't in a group. I mean, to God bless them, but I would just I literally would wither and die without my group to try to keep me
right.
half
Oh,
ass sane.
without a doubt,
I just can't
without
even.
a doubt.
Mm.
You know, I had a problem with the God thing because when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, I was at odds with God.
Mhm.
God,
Mhm.
God took my child away from me. God did this. God let me be an alcoholic. God did this. God did that. This mentor of mine one Saturday morning brought in a little plaque and I read it, and it was footprints in the sand.
Mhm.
And if anybody has ever thought about it, you can Google footprints in the sand, and if you read it real carefully, um, you'll understand what I mean when I tell you that God let every single thing happen to me for a reason, and He carried me through
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
He carried me through and set me down gently. He didn't let, like I say, my yets list, right? He carried me through so I could experience. I had to experience every single thing that happened in my life for me to get to where I am even today.
Right.
Um, you know, I have I've had a couple sponsors. Um, for no other reason than, we kind of drifted, and, I needed to further my horizons, if you will. Um, I've sponsored people. My last sponsee I had mentioned before actually didn't make it back after his
Mm.
last relapse, and that really, really bothered me a lot. Um, I have a fantastic sponsor now. Um, I have 5 sponsee brothers that we all have the same sponsor. We get together and fellowship. We go to breakfast on a
Mm.
Saturday morning. Um, I listen to this, how life works. My ex-wife and I had to make a decision um, after 19 years, 6 months of marriage, uh, that my sobriety had to come first. And I had to say goodbye to my drinking partner, to that. My life was in danger at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That was after, I don't know, about 5 years of sobriety. Um, I, I couldn't do it anymore. Um, I left. Um, I met my soulmate in sobriety. We this September will be married 4 years.
Congratulations.
She she has she's coming up on 13 years of sobriety. Uh, we have a sober home. We talk recovery. We go to meetings together. Um, some people might think it's a very humdrum life, but you know what? It is a life better than I could have ever dreamed in my entire. I couldn't fathom anything better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I owe it to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. The pandemic started, Christine, right? Meetings got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell am I going to do? What is Craig going to do now for his sobriety?
Well, especially when liquor stores were essential.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Go
Uh,
figure.
I know. I know.
Go figure. It's like big pharma keep giving out all these pills, and keeping people addicted,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, liquor store is essential, right?
Mm-hmm.
People doing
But damn
happy
you.
hours, Zoom happy hours, so everybody can
Yeah.
get so damn fucked up,
Right.
so
Right.
messed up that it was a normalcy. Everything was
Crazy.
normal. AA meeting shut down. Um, I ended up remembering of a sobriety platform, Sobriety Engine, and I got in with Sobriety Engine very early on during the pandemic, and got service work, online service work. Right, I was a moderator, doing similar to what you're doing, but not recorded podcasts. I mean, sobriety
Meetings. Right.
platform,
Sure.
and I did that for 3 years. The platform is still up. I kept myself in service as much as I could. Um, my wife and I now go back to the same room that we used to go to before the pandemic. It's the Alano Club in Lemon Grove, California. Um, it feels so good to be back into the rooms. And last Saturday, I watched a gentleman get a 30-year token, and he sang his rendition, "What Condition My Condition Is In."
Oh wow.
Do you remember the song? Say, what condition
Yes.
I'm not a singer. What
Yes.
condition my condition is in,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so as he is singing the song, and as much as people say it, and some people might not understand it, alcohol is not my problem.
Mm.
Alcohol is not Craig's problem. My problem, the committee,
Mm-hmm.
right? the
Mm-hmm.
committee, the committee that will tell me one thing, and knowing or not knowing that it's really not true. The perception,
Right.
right? I sit and look at Christine and I think, oh my God, what is she thinking of me? Oh, she probably thinks I am this, this, this. And you know what? The perception, that's a bunch of bull crap.
Right.
Because you know what? How the hell can I ever know or even believe to think what you think of me?
Right.
Right? And it gets to a point where um, I had a lot of changes going on in my life in recovery. Um, right? It comes from the inside out. Um, the change for Craig is that life doesn't revolve around me.
Mm.
Uh, people extended their hand freely to me when I walked into the room. Um, I offer my hand to people that want recovery or that believe they want recovery.
Mm-hmm.
What was so freely given to me, I want to pass along.
Right.
Right. This is the best form of service work. Being able to talk about this, and hopefully, there's one person out there that goes, "Oh my God, this guy just told his story for the last hour, and you know what? Damn, it sounds really close to like what I'm going through. If
Mm-hmm.
this guy can do it, maybe I can do it."
Right.
Or that somebody got 15 minutes of peace, right? Somebody's really suffering with their recovery and having a hard time with their recovery right now. And for them to just sit and just listen to somebody else tell their story.
And know that they're not alone.
I've been there. You were there. I was there. We were there together at the same spot that person is at right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now. Right? And we were all at that same point, at that jumping off point where we can't live with and can't live without, and wanting to die and not wanting to live. And don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I can walk outside my house right here and life is right there, real life. And sometimes it's hard.
Oh, sure.
Sometimes it's still hard. Um, you know, this program is not meant for me to do it by myself. It's meant for me to do the program with you,
Mm-hmm.
with other fellows, they're fellowshipping other people in recovery, right? It was never designed for me to do it by myself. I have to be able to be conscious enough to be able to reach out, um, and to know that it's okay to have the feelings that I have, and to be able to call somebody and talk about my feelings. Because when I was an alcoholic, I'm always going to be an alcoholic,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. No, I
I mean,
gotcha.
I've just
When you were in
recovered.
active addiction.
Exactly. Sometimes I announce myself as a recovered alcoholic, and I'll preface by saying I've recovered from a hopeless state of
There you
mind and
go.
body.
Recovered,
Right?
not cured.
Exactly. You can't become a cucumber once you become a pickle,
That's
right?
right. That's
So
right.
it's all good. Tomato, whatever you want to say, it's all good. Um, I just really I love the opportunity to offer service. My experience, strength, and hope. Look, 3 days. God willing,
Mm.
in 3 days, I got a shot. Christine, I got a shot at 14 continuous years.
That's crazy.
Isn't that unbelievable for a
That's
drunk?
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Right?
Well, I'm so grateful that you were willing to tell your story. And the one thing I want to back up because I think it's so crucial and people don't know. And you said it perfectly when you were left alone and you mentioned, that's the worst thing decision that I could have made was rejecting that medical help. you should never withdraw from alcohol by yourself, and ideally under medical supervision. Alcohol is the one drug you can die from the withdrawal. Please hear
Amen.
me. If you are actively in the addiction, or if you have a loved one, they cannot do that. They certainly should not, but they cannot do that by themselves. That is so dangerous. At a bare minimum, please make sure that they're not alone. Ideally, they're under a medical supervision, because not only is it painful, it can actually kill them, and
Yep.
or kill you if you're the one that's in it. So please suck up the pride or whatever it is bullshit that you're telling
Yeah.
yourself, and just don't get through that by yourself. It's just it's so
And,
dangerous.
and you're 100% right. I didn't know about people that can die,
Most don't.
and
Yep.
the doctor told me. He said, alcohol is the only drug that people can actually die from
Yep.
on their coming, detoxing and withdrawing.
Yes. And I mean, all other drugs, you throw meth, crack up, throw it all in. They want to die, but alcohol is the one thing that it will kill you. So please, please, please seek medical attention.
Absolutely.
And that's putting that pride aside for just a minute. Well, I am so happy for you, and your sobriety. What a beautiful story of redemption. And you're right, you'll reach that milestone, but just by doing it one day at a time. So getting
Amen.
through it. I'm grateful that you chose to spend part of this day with me, helping to just be a hand to that person who is still suffering.
Absolutely. Anytime you need anything, you know how to ping me, and I'll be there for you.
You got it. Well, keep wearing them shirts. I love it. And speaking of which, Purpose Driven Sobriety podcast is a nonprofit. We do have some recovery shirts at purposedrivensobriety.com. There's a $5 profit that's made on every shirt, and every single penny goes into the production of this show. So be sure to check that out if you get a chance. Craig, God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm grateful to you.
Oh, thank you for having me, Christine, and thank you for your service.
Sure. Have a blessed day, sir.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye now. Thanks for listening to Purpose Driven Sobriety. Keep coming back.